Okay, thank you to be here today with us. Today's session is regarding production. We will, of course, have a look at some general information regarding the production orders or the work orders. Later, we will see how to create the work orders considering different approach or different business processes. Of course, we will have a look at how to manage the work orders, and then some critical or main settings you should take care about the production orders. Okay. First, let's have a look at from where you can create a work order into the system. This is, of course, again related with the business processes. You can, of course, in Beas create a manual work order. All of these different approaches I will show during the session today. Another way to create a work order is from a sales order in Business One form. This means for the Business One screen, then you can create directly with the right button of the mouse a new work order. Okay, or you can create work orders related with the sales order from one specific PS screen. We call it service order to sales order to work order. Okay, both cases, because our sales order oriented work orders will consider pre-calculations you did in a quotation or in the sales order, or if you created a configuration using the product configuration, the product configurator. As you know, in our web portal, we also put the PowerPoints we create for the different sessions. In this case, for example, for some screens, we also included some comments you can use, okay, or you can consider. The other way to create a work order is from MRP. From MRP you can create a work order from a forecast, or you can create a work order from a sales order, or you can create a work order because a minimum stock level balance is in the MRP results. Okay. More things you should consider, of course, from what different transactions and what different activities are you able to do from the work order once it is created. Okay. Of course, you can in the corner in the top we have checking material requirement. There is a report you can open, and then you will see what is the situation of the materials regarding one specific work order. Okay, this is different than MRP. It's just a report. You can edit the bill of materials and edit the routings. As most of you know, at the moment you create one work order, what the system do is to consider the standard or the item master data structure. This is what is the bill of materials of the item and what is the routing, what are the different operations are defined for one specific item. So at the moment you create the work order, the system take all this information and create a work order with this similar structure. If you are using a calculation or pre-calculation, then of course the structure will depend on what is in the pre-calculation, or if you use the product configurator, then will depend on the configuration you did. But once you create your work order, you can edit it, you can delete items, modify the operations and so on, and nothing will happen with the original master data information. Okay, now we are in two different places. This is two different also tables in the database and so on. Okay, so this is also important to describe. Once you complete a work order, or once you do some transactions, of course in the work order will be some cost related, because those material transactions, or because the times in the different operations are recorded. So then we can use the post calculation that at the end is the cost analysis for our work order. Of course, from the work order, as normal, you will need and you will do material transactions. You will do the good issue of the different materials, and will do the good receipt for the item you produce. There are many different ways to work, because at the end the system could work in a very manual way or in a more automatic way, depending on the requirement. Okay. Graphical utilization, you can see from here, product costing analysis and post calculation at the end is similar. Graphic utilization, this is from the work order with the right button, then you can show a graphic report about the usage of one resource, or which the resort where the operation is related. And of course, as you can do material transactions in the work order, the other part is to record the process time. Okay, you can record the process time directly into the work order screen, or you can do it via terminal, or you can do it via web application, or you can do it on a specific screen to record process time. So we have many different possibilities for this. Okay, so let's go to talk about the work order creation, and later we'll see how it works in the system. Okay. First, of course, there are many different possibilities to create work orders depending on the business processes. It is important that you always in your projects take care about the business processes of your customers, okay, or your leads, depending if you are doing a pre-sale or you're planning to do a demo. Of course, when you will create a work order stock-oriented, okay, because it could be you can do it from two different places, or you can do it in two different ways. You can create a manual work order with no any reference behind, or just because you want to create one work order for 50 units or something like that. Or you can create, for example, a work order from MRP. MRP, as you know, it's considering all the demand is in the system, and there is also stock demand. At the end, stock demand will come from minimum inventory levels, or also, I didn't include it here, but also forecast. If you include or you create a forecast in Business One, then you can include it, the forecast in the MRP calculation, and then the system will let you know how a specific work or which specific work order you should create to take care about this stock demand, and of course the materials you need to purchase. Okay, so this is we will see a manual work order and also a work order from MRP attending to stock-oriented approach. When we talk about order-oriented or mixed mode, at the end, order-oriented is when all the sales, the work orders are creating, attending to a sales order is in the system. But also mixed mode means you will create some order-oriented, for example, for the finished items, but it could be that some sub-assemblies or semi-finished items are in the bill of material of the finished item. You need to create it stock-oriented, because are, for example, common items for many different finished items. Okay, we will see also an example from. So then you can create work orders directly from the sales order screen in Business One, from the sales order to work order Beas screen, or from MRP. Okay, of course, if you have a mixed mode approach, production approach, MRP, you will need to do it for the creation of the other work order for the sub-assemblies. When we talk about the engineer to order, okay, or engineer-oriented approach for production, then normally you will create the first work order from the sales order screen once you did a pre-calculation directly, could be in the quotation, but later at the end will be related with the sales order. Okay. Later, of course, you will need to run MRP, because it could be that you need to create some sub-assemblies, or because engineer is doing some modifications directly into the work order. And at the end, the other possibility is to create again from a sales order screen, but when you have a configuration, you did it based on the product configurator model, not product configuration. Okay, so then let's have a look at the system. Okay, here we are, and let's start, for example, to create a work order. We go to work orders. Let's create a work order manually. Okay, this is my list or my screen of work orders is completely empty. This means I have no any active work order. If you click in search, then you can disable this button that say only when active, and then you will see all the historical information in this database. Okay, order from 2007 and so on, and then you are able to do a product costing analysis for each work order, no matter if they are not from this year. Okay, in this case, we can have a look at the cost analysis of one work order 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, by default, this screen only show you those work orders are active. When you see a red mark in the yellow folder, this means this work order is already closed. Okay, so let's create our new manual work order just to see how it works. We click in new. Here we are creating the head document of the work order. Okay, work orders are, first there is a work order, but later there are different positions. Depending on the approach of the company, you will create one work order with one position because you will produce one specific item, okay? But it is also possible to create a work order for many different items. At the end, what you need is to create different positions. Each position is related with one specific item, okay? So from here we can say, okay, we can manually, because we are creating manually a work order, we can set up this, okay, this will be delivered on Friday 24, and that's it. We will not put more information here. Then we go directly to the position tab. You will see that at the moment I change it to the position tab, the system automatically updated the screen and created the work order 86. Okay, if I have a look at the work order screen, I need sometimes to refresh. Then I change the tab, and then I have my work order 86. But this work order is completely empty. Then I have no any plus here. So if I go inside, then I need to create the position. It is in the position where you really define which specific item are you going to produce. Okay, so then we click in New to create a new position, and from here, from this screen, is where we select the item. Okay, then for example, let's create this work order for this gas nozzle subassembly item. If you see something, when I click here, I have in this case, I have a reduced list of items. The system, when you create a work order manually, by default understand that it's a stock-oriented work order, and then we'll show you in the list only those items are defined as stock-oriented items. Remember, we will have a look at the item if we go to through the orange arrow. This is the master data of my item, and in the bill of material explosion, I have for this item assembly. Okay, for those are or will normally be produced order oriented, then you need to put order related. Okay, so in the list or in the drop down, as you prefer, from the position, then you only will see the stock order oriented items. In any case, if you know the codes of one item, you can produce manually one work order. For one item, you normally produce order oriented. Okay, you can put it here, and the system will create the order. But this is probably not exactly the business process of the customer. Okay, so then we selected the item code. Okay, the description is also here, and then we see, okay, the units I will produce are 5 units, and that's it. I click then in update. Later we will have a look here at the position information, and if we go to here, we see that I created one work order for this item, and then here is the bill of material and the different operations. In this case, this is one item that also have a bill of material item, a production item, and this item is defined as, let's have a look, a order related item. So what happens if you set up a bill of subassembly or semi-finished item as an order related, then the system understands that should create the complete structure of the item in the work order. As you see here, I will produce at the end 2 different items. Then I have 2 different positions. Okay, so okay, then the work order is already created. If we go again to the head of the work order, then we'll see additional information, because we can cover project-oriented manufacturing. And then you can relate this work order with the project, for example, or you can set up a different status of the project. Then the status, this is design, for example. This means design could be the 20% of the effort for the production, or I mean for the whole production of this item. The second is production, and this is then we are on the 70%, and at the end then there is installation, and then we have 100%. We completed the project. Okay, so then you can set up for each work order different project status. Then you can use this for reports and so on. If you would like to add or to relate any document, then you can do it from here. And in the setup, most of those fields you can mark or not select. will be also marked automatically depending on the different processes you did. For example, if we print the work order, then later this field will be marked automatically. Or if we complete the last operation and then we define it in the system that last operation means that the work order should be finished or should be closed, then this field will also be marked, okay? Or we can block it, or we can put it invisible, or if we plan it in APS, if we run the advanced planning and scheduling model and we do a calculation with this item, then we will consider, depending on the APS setting, that this work order was already planned on APS, okay? So here then you have all the information regarding this specific work order. If we have a look to the buttons we have in the screen, we also have from calculation. You can create a pre-calculation manually, and you can relate manually the pre-calculation to the work order, okay? This is normally a process you do in an engineer to order or in a made to order, sales to order, or yeah, order oriented work order. We will have a look. Then you relate the calculation, or you create the work order based on one specific calculation. You also can do it manually from here. Later I will explain you some topics, but then you can also create different types of operations, and then later I will go ahead with this in details, okay? So then we created one work order manually, okay? And this is the first example. I will delete it. You can delete one work order if no any transaction is done over the work order. If you have done any transaction, time received or material transaction, then you can only close it. You cannot delete the work order, okay? In this case, of course, I can do it, okay? Let's go now to sales order, and let's create one work order sales oriented, okay? Let's go to sales order, for example, and we have a sales order here for one specific item, okay? If we click here with the right button, well, in fact, I already created one work order before, then I can also access directly from here to the work order. But let's create a new sales order. Let's do it, for example, for ARA Technologies. The item is the B172, and I will create one work order for 5 units, okay? This is the price. This is normal business one process. Delivery date, let's put, for example, 30 of the end of the month, okay, and it's done. If I click now with the right button, then I have, create first the sales order. Now if I click with the right button, then I have the possibility to create directly the work order from here, okay? Let's do one example, then you will see. Later we will create one work order from MRP, so you will see what is the difference behind. If I click here, then the system creates the work order. In fact, if I click again, then I see that work order 86 was already created, okay? I can open the screen directly from here. This is my new work order. This is the housing unit I have in the sales order. And then you see in the head of the work order all the information of the customer order. If I do double click, then I will see that this document that is the 86, this is the name, the number of the work order. My work order 86 is related with the sales order 57.1. 57 is the number of the sales order, and the 1 is the line in the business one document. Okay, then here is the information about the customer, name, address, and so on. Okay, I have noted all the information. The type of the work order is sales order because I created it from the sales order. Depending on the types we create for the type of work orders we create, then we set up which one is the default for sales orders, which one is the default for make to stock. We can create all the different production types we would like to do. Okay, for example, there was a customer who requested for work order to just input times regarding a project of installation or whatever you need. At the end, you create your code of the type of work order. and later the description, and then you set up if this will allow to be planned, if you will consider WIP accounts, if you will consider if will be made to stock, or and so on. Okay, if I do double click in sales order, then I see all those fields outside. Then I can mark and select the type I would like. Also, you can change the graphical symbol or the color if this is important to have the different type of work orders in the work order screen in different colors, or if you need to have a graphic information at instinct. Okay, then we created our work order directly. In this case, and now I can, for example, jump to the mixed mode model. If we have a look at our item, let me show you the item structure of this specific item. If we go to item structure and we go to the B1, it's this one, then you see that I have my bill of material, but the first item in the bill of material, the gas nozzle subassembly, this is a production item. Okay, so I need to produce this item because it's part of the bill of material of my finished item. Okay, so when I create the work order from the sales order, of course I have no any possibility to create the additional work order for those items are assembly items. Okay, if you put it by order, then of course the system, as happened in the example I did before with the manual work order, you will see different positions automatically in the work order. Okay, so then I need to run the MRP, and MRP will tell me which exactly additional work orders I will need to create. Okay, now I will delete it because I will create this work order again related with the sales order, but from a different screen. Okay, then you will see the different possibilities you have to create this type of work orders. If I click here, then I have no any link with the work order 86. Okay, because I already deleted that work order. Then if we go to production menu, we have one possibility that is sales orders to production order. Okay, then the system show me the open work orders, sales orders are in the system, and I didn't, let's say I didn't put the quantity, or I didn't create any credit, I didn't create any work order to supply this demand is coming from this sales order. So the way to create the work order is the system is telling me the planned quantity for this other technology customer in this 57 sales order is 5 units. Missing is 5. So this means I didn't create any. Okay. So the open quantity at the end is 5 units. So if I put 5 here, then I can create directly the work order. We also have, if you have a look here, we also have some additional possibilities to create, for example, a work order summary. This means you will create one work order with different positions for each item is in the list. Okay. So for example, then I will create a work order for 5 units for other technology. Then I create it. It's done. I don't see any additional information. Okay. If I have any work demand warehouse or stock oriented, then I will have also this information from here. So let's go again to the work order screen, and then I have exactly the same result I had when I created the work order directly from the sales order with the right button of the mouse. Okay, I have my work order for the housing unit, and then related with the customer is a sales order oriented work order and all the information. Okay, the approach is exactly the same. Okay, okay. Now let's go to work based on this approach, considering a mixed mode. Okay, in fact, it's the case because one of the items is in the bill of material is a sub-assembly item, so I need to create a work order and a specific work order for this additional item. How to know it? Then we need to run the MRP. Okay, so let's run the MRP. and then let's calculate the MRP. As you know, and we discussed it or described it in the previous session of MRP, there are some warning messages depending on if you have errors in the data check of Beas, because some wrong values could appear in the calculation if you do not fix those errors the data check is telling you. Okay. Also, I activated the login, the details for the different transactions on how the MRP did the calculation for the different quantities. Of course, it appears as a warning message because the performance of the MRP calculation is slower. So here, this is the result of the MRP. We have several different items, and we have in this part of we described it in the past, where the information or where the demand is coming. Okay, in this case, we will click in filter, and we will just have a look at the only created work order we have. That is the 86 related with this sales order for other technology. We have only one position for this item, so I don't need to select any, but if I have different positions, I can select what exactly are the requirements I would like to evaluate, okay, for this position. And I will tell to the system, do not show me only shortage, show me all the entries, just to be sure that we do not forget to purchase anything, or or in any case to have a look at what we have. Okay, so the system is telling me you have a negative balance for the gas nozzle subassembly. The yellow folder means that this is a production item, or we can just jump to the production tab in the MRP. So here we see what exactly we need to purchase to produce. Okay, in this case, I also need the housing unit. Well, this is not for our, also for the other technology, but I have enough stock. If you see here, we have 16 in the stock, and we need 5. So and 5 are coming, also 15 we need, so the balance at the end is 6 positive. So we will not need to create this. So then we have 4 units the system is telling us to create for the gas nozzle. The way to create the work order from the MRP, we have different possibilities. One is when we need to keep one relationship between one document and another. In this case, we would like to keep the relationship between the gas nozzle subassembly work order and the first work order, that is the 86 one created for other technology. The way to do it is to do double click in this line, then the system create directly the link. You see here a field that says link production 86 10 10. We are creating one work order that is linked to another one. Okay, the approach is the same when we create directly the work order for the finished item that is related with the sales order. The system will tell, okay, then you can create a link directly to the sales order. Okay. In this case, also this item have a minimum. In this case, it's not a purchase order, but this is a minimum production quantity that is 20. Would you like to change it? In this case, I will not. Also, the system tell me that the multiple is 10. Then I will not. Okay. Okay. Anyway, then I can create a work order related with this specific production with this specific work order. If you change, when you talk about single, this is because you did this relationship. But if you are working in a mixed mode, imagine you have different finished items, then you have different work orders, but those all finished items in the work orders will need the same subassembly. So if you change from single to week, for example, then the system will tell you what is all the demand you need, considering other work orders, other sales orders, and so on. Also the quantities in the multiples and so on. Okay. In my case, I will create it only for 5, so I can come back and I refresh. Okay. Then that's it. You can create from here the production order directly or create a production demand. Okay. Let's create a work order directly. Work order is already created. It's the number 87, but we can close here and have a look later. Okay. And to complete the example, let's just have a look at what we need to purchase. The system is telling us that during the week 26 we need all those materials. Okay, we can have a look at the dates. We need those materials, for example, for the day 27. Then we are not forced to purchase this today. Okay, so this is what MRP is telling to us. Also, it's considering, of course, the lead times and so on. So from here, as I explained it in the MRP session in the past, we can purchase all what we need for one specific week, or use the field POs quantities. That means, okay, let me know for the next, I don't know, 15 days, what exactly do I need to purchase, okay, considering lead times and so on. So then the system fill automatically those values here, okay. So that's it. Let's do the purchase of all of this. Now we create the purchase order. In this case, we will create not a purchase order, we will create a purchase requirement, because when you create a massive purchase from MRP using field PO quantities or using the specific week with the right button of the mouse, then the system create a purchase request. Now from here you can change the supplier, or you can change prices or more. Okay, so this is, for example, my remarks. Okay, and then I will say, okay, let's create in business one then the formal purchase order. The system is then creating one only document. If we have a look now, if I change to modus screen, and I see here the system, the MRP refreshed information, and then I see, okay, my order is already created. I can open the purchase order from here, and this is our purchase order with all the different lines for all the different items we need to produce our different items in production. Okay, so that's it. Let's then create the PO, the receipt PO for these items, and then we can manage later the work order. Okay, yes, and we have all the items on stock. Okay, then we created a work order for the sub-assembly item directly from the MRP. Another way to produce is then what happens if there is an engineer process behind. Let's do an example using the pre-calculation, and later let's do an additional example using the product configurator to see how the system create the work order and how the system consider all the modifications we did using those two approaches. Okay, so let's go to sales order. Let's create a new one. In this case, let's create it for a stone, and let's select, I don't know, another item. Could be, for example, this one. Okay, and in this case, there is a customer who demands 5 units of this item. Let's put delivery date, for example, for the end of the month. Okay, and it's created, yes. And in this case, I will click in the right button, and what I will do is to use the pre-calculation functionality. Okay, pre-calculation is very typical in engineer-to-order process, because from here we will have the whole structure of the item, for example, and then we will be able to do all the modifications we need. Okay, so this is one item that have some sub-assemblies. Okay, but if we have a look, then what I will do is to delete this one, for example. Okay, because the customer don't want this item. Yeah, perfect. I delete it, and also from here I will delete connector 32. And I will delete also from here, and I will delete one specific operation. Okay, this is, you can add, you can add this. We of course explained it in the previous screen in the previous session of the calculation. This is only an example, and then for example, this one I also will delete it. Okay, we can with the right button include new materials and so on. So this is the modifications I did from the structure of this item because the customer requirements. Okay, Then I click in update. And if you have a look at the sales order, then we have a calculation field, and the calculation number 40 is already recorded and related with this sales order. This process is of course possible and normally starts from the quotation, because it's in the quotation when you do the modification the customer demand, then you build your real quotation and you say to the customer, okay, considering the change that you demanded, this is what I will produce and this is my price. And then if it is okay, then you create a sales order that will also come with the calculation information. So behind this sales order there is a calculation. If I click again with the right button, then you see that I can open the calculation 40, okay, directly into the sales order, and it is the structure I already modified, okay. So let's close here, and then we have our sales order, and let's create a new work order, okay. If I click here in the work order to create the work order is already created. I can open my work order 88, and here it is, the work order 88. We have one sub-assembly, that is the only one I didn't delete from the structure, and the other materials. So what you see is that, of course, using the pre-calculation functionality in an engineer-to-order process, then you have, or the customers have the opportunity to set up exactly the structure of the item the customer is demanding, and later, in a very easy way, create the work order considering this specific customization, okay? So this is the example of how to create one work order considering the pre-calculation in an engineer-to-order, okay? Now, let's, for example, come back to the sales order, and let's create a new one to show you how to create the work order using the product configurator, and what is the transaction behind and how the system works. In this case, let's do it for Beas computer, for example. We have a famous example, that is the sofa example. Okay, in this case, this is a general item code, but behind this item code, there is an item that could be produced considering different colors, different sizes, and other different variables are, of course, defined in the item. Okay, so let's put, for example, 30 of the months. Okay, and then we have the sales order already created. Let me come back, and if I click now with the right button, I have, of course, I can create a new calculation, and the system will show me the basic or default structure of my sofa. Or if we are using the product configurator, then I can create a new configuration. Okay, if I click here, then we will see the product configurator example of our sofa. Okay, then there is a review or a general information about our sofa. If I go to the size, then I can have a sofa for one only piece, or for two seaters, or for three seaters. Also, have a look at the accessories, because if I select individual, nothing happens, but if I select two seaters, other variables are related with the size of the sofa, and now an additional accessory is possible only for two or three seaters. Okay, then let's do it for two, for example. Covering and color, red cloth, red leather or blue leather. If you see, also prices are different depending on the selection you do. Okay, in this case I will select, for example, red leather. Okay, now I go to legs. In legs I can select wood, or I can select the stainless steel. Okay, then I will select, for example, wood. And if I go to accessory, then the system say, okay, how many do you want cushions? Yes. How many cushions do you want? I want, let's put something crazy, then you will see the results in the very clear in the work order. 9 cushions I will use. And headrest, yes, I also want headrest. Okay, so later we go to result, and then we see, okay, it's a two-seater sofa with red leather wood. They need cushions, only 9, and also headrest. Okay, so this is the total price of my sofa. Okay, now I go to definition, and I say my webinar sofa. Okay, a brief description. a great sofa with only 9 cushions. Okay, it's only 9. So that's it. Then I save it. Okay, and okay. So now you see that there is a variant field, and behind the sales order then is a calculation already created. Okay, of course, if you you can also change the prices using a formatted search for business one. You can have a look at the prices are calculated in the product configurator, and then this will done here. Okay. Again, if I click from here, then I can open the configuration 60 with the specific selection I did. Okay. What happened now? Then I can create a work order for this sofa. This is what I will do. In this case, the product configurator will select the corresponding structure of the item, the corresponding material of the item, considering the different selections I did. Let's go to work order. Now we have more work orders. This is the Beas computer one. This is the sofa we created for the variant 16. And if you have a look here, then you see, for example, the red leather for the sofa is one of the items. It, of course, changed depending on the selection ID. I selected the wood leg, and I selected 9 cushions for my sofa and the headrest. Okay. Now, if I create a new sales order and I do a different configuration for other customer, then we will see all different materials, different quantities, and so on. Of course, today I will not explain you about the product configurator, but now you can see how the system create the work order, considering all the customizing or the customizations are already done using the product configurator. Okay, so that's it. This is the different ways to create different work orders based on the different business processes. We created manual work orders. We created work order from MRP. We created work orders from the sales orders using directly from the sales order, or using the other form from Beas, or from MRP, of course. Okay, for the sub-assembly, for example, of the item. In engineer to order, we created a work order considering the pre-calculation and in configuration oriented. Then we created it using the product configurator, but also from the sales order screen. Okay. Once we have created our work orders, then let's start to play a little with them. Okay. What we will do now is to edit the work orders. And later, of course, we will process the work order. What we can do in the work order is to input some times in the different operations. The workers can input some times. We will do some material transactions, and also we will see how the backflushing functionality works. Okay, when we will not input directly any time received in any specific operation. Okay, so let's jump again to our work order. Let's do it, for example, for this item. Okay, we created 2 work orders because for producing housing unit, then one of the items we need is the gas nozzle sub-assembly. So here is the second work order we already created. Okay, so then we have many different possibilities to deal with the work orders. Well, first what I will do is to clean a little. You can select a range, or you can, for example, 87. Let's just see the work order 87. For those companies who do not have any terminal in the factory, then you can go directly from here. So imagine you print when you print a work order, you print a work order with the space where the workers put their times in a pencil. Okay, so then someone from the office of the factory then take those and input the times directly manually into the operations. This is one approach that is also sometimes common. So the way to proceed now is to click, for example, in the operation, and then to create a time received. Before create a transaction, let me show you some topics regarding how to do a work order. This work order was, of course, based on the structure of the item. If we have a look at the item structure, this is the gas nozzle sub-assembly, is this one. If we have a look, it's the same item. We have this item in the bill of material, the second, the third, and this one, and also the two operations. Okay, so with the quantities we need and so on. But now in this part from here, I can, for example, delete this part. Okay, then I will say no, I will not include this item in the work order. Now the system will not issue this item. Or you can also come here to the crimp, and I say it is defined that we need 6 crimps by each item I produce. So my work order in this case is for 5 items, so this is the reason I need 30 units, okay? But I will say no, I will only use 2 items, okay? And in this case, I would like to issue the material automatically from the position, from the operation 20 or from the operation 20. So you can change all the structure of the work order. You can, with the right button, then you can include new assemblies or new bill of materials and so on. Okay. Also, to split the work order, this is, imagine you would like to create a separate work order quantity. You have a work order for 10, but you would like to manage only 2 positions of 5, and then each operation later will be related with one specific resource and so on. Okay. Also, then you can export, and that's it. Or of course, manually you can create from here directly a good receipt for the item. Okay, no matter if you do not input any time and so on, or you can create a chart of you can have a view about the quantity requirement of those materials in the bill of material for this work order. And then you see, okay, I have 3 items. I have this in stock. Outflow means what items we will really need. So shortage is 0. We have enough stock to produce these items, and at the end, then the available quantity. Okay. So you have enough information only from this screen regarding all the process for production. More things you can do from here. It's if you click with the right button on the operation, then you can have a look at the graphic situation. This is how are you going to use the resource for this operation regarding this work order, and or you can have a look at the specific times are planned for this resource from this date to this date, or and so on for the different positions. Okay, or also in a detailed way, a more detailed way, I will show you. From here, if you click in detail, then you will see, okay, in the week 25, then you will need to do all these transactions in this resource, and in the previous week, then a different quantity, and so on and so on. Okay. So okay, let's start to play a little with the work order. Normally, you need to input time in in the first operation. One approach is to create directly a time receipt with the right button of the mouse. Then, for example, James Bond will invest. You can put the time here, for example, 12:01 to 12:25. Then in 24 minutes, he will create 5 pieces. Okay, you can report a partial receipt because you can say no, the total quantity is planned to be produced is 5 items, but I will only produce 3 items. So then you can create a partial receipt. Okay, in this case, for example, I will create complete. Okay, and one of the items is I should issue. You see in the bill of material in the work order that the items, the blue boxes, have number 10, the first 2 lines, and number 20, the third line. What the system is considering here is those first 2 items are going to be issued in the first operation. In the first operation, because it's the operation in the position number 10. And the third item, that is the F69924, will be issued in the last operation. So one of those items, the first one, is the circuit integrate, is a batch item. So the system is now asking us for for a batch, okay, then we need 10 batches, and we selected 0. So if I click, for example, here in this one, the system will automatically select the specific quantity. We also see the batch attributes are already filled at the moment you create the good receipt for in the purchase process for those items. So it is also important to fill the information when you work with batches, because then you have more information here to select what is the specific batch you should take. Okay, so then I selected this one, and I then click in Go On. Okay, so if we have a look now at the work order, then we have the time received for James Bond, because we completed the quantity 5, and we click, of course, in the button completed, then the system closed the operation. This operation is already closed, and there are 2 items are issued. If we have a look at the good issue directly from here in Business 1, those are the 2 items are already issued from the work order 87 at this time, and so on and so on. Okay. Also, in the case of the first item, that is the batch item, if I click here, then I see that the batch I used for this good issue is my batch Sydney 01. Okay, and there is also available 31 on stock on the warehouse 01, but I issued 10 items. Okay. Now let's go to the second operation. Also, if you have a look, we also show here in this screen the different the different journal entries are already created because the different transactions. Okay, in this case it's because the material transaction, but depending on the setting you do on the system, then you also can do a good receipt because the labor cost and so on. That is not the case. If you are using work in progress, then of course we will take care about the accounts defined for work in progress, and at the end of the process then we will adjust any different if it is any different available. So now let's do let's put the time for the second operation from the classic terminal. Okay, then we will see a different approach. Let's print the work order. This is normally the first step. If we have a look at the preview button, then we have, in this case, I have only one work order report. We can create several different work order report or layouts. It is not only because our report, if we have a look here with the right button on the screen, oops, sorry, I click in the wrong place. If I have a look here, then I have in this button, in the fourth button, then I have layout. Okay, this is with the right button of the mouse. So here then we have the macro should appear, I hope. No, there should be, okay, here it is the macro. So then here we can define, okay, what to do with the macro. This we can only print the work order, or we print the work order but also can generate other activities like to send an email or to print a document is related with the item master data and so on, or to print a label in a thermic printer in the factory, etc. Okay. So, okay, let's just print the work order standard layout. Okay. I showed it before and now it is not. Let me open this screen again. No, it is now here. My system is, today is not Monday, but my system is going a little bit slow. Okay, so this is a normal standard work order report. We see that this is a stock-oriented work order, okay, in this case. Then we see all the information, and the bill of materials are in the bill of material of my work order, but also the 2 different operations are defined. And if we have a look here in the report, then we have 2 barcodes, and this is because, of course, if we print this work order and we give it to the workers in the factory, they can use directly a Motorola symbol device or a classic terminal, and then to shoot again with a barcode reader against the barcode here in the operation, and then to start to input times directly into this operation. Okay. In this case, I have not a barcode reader, but this number here at the end is the same, because as you know, the barcode is only a font. Okay, so this is 3,381. Okay, I know this is for the first one, and the second one is 382. The first one is already reported. We did it manually, and now let's go to the second one. So let's go to the terminal. And this is the classic terminal. To put the terminal in one customer, you need, at the end, you need a PC. It could be a normal PC, or it could be a touch screen PC, or other possibilities. At the end, behind of this, you will need Windows, and you will need to be able to install a client of Beas. Okay, so okay, let's start. In this part, we have attendance functionality. This is when worker arrive to the factory and when leave the factory, and so on. Then to check the status. And in the second column, this is the different possibilities to input times, or to report times and effort in operations. Then to interrupt machine when a machine is not working by any reason. Okay, then you report that is already interrupted. And also from the terminal, you have the possibility to do some basic material transaction, like a receipt, like a good issue, to transfer items from one warehouse to another one, or quality control. Okay. Then, for example, let's do a login work order. My code is, for example, number one. Number one is James Bond. And by default, we see here in this screen some different operations are already possible to input time, okay, for James Bond. Why you see some operations, and if I log as a different worker, then probably I will see others. Let's come back to here, and then I will say, okay, I am the number 3. That is a sorry. I will do it again. I put more numbers than necessary. And this is for Carlos Herrero, and he have 4, but James Bond have had more. Okay, you will see operations here depending on the resource is already related with the employee. Okay, I will come back to you to this part to show you where exactly to set up this. So then I can, if I have a touch screen, then of course I can directly click in this rectangle, okay, or is enough, the size is enough, you know, for the typical big fingers from the factory workers, or you can use, if you have a barcode reader, then you just shot against the barcode reader. That is the same than I put here, 382. Okay, and then I say, okay, this is the work order 87 for the second operation, and normally you should do this operation in the resource 1201. Okay, but the worker can also change the machine. Okay, and also you see that depending on the machine I select, I have different possibilities to log in. Why? Because in each machine or in each resource, then you can set up, okay, I will allow to the workers to input setup times, or I will allow to the workers to input machine or basic labor time, and so on. This is not the same for each machine. Okay, so in this case, let's just say, okay, I will start to do machine labor time. Okay, so that's it. Carlos Herrero, I believe, it's not James Bond, it's Carlos Herrero, is currently working on the work order. Let's have a look at the work order. It was the 87. Now we see that my operation assembly have a plus symbol here, and Carlos Herrero is already working. Okay, we see the difference between the icon. Now we have some a different mark here. Carlos Herrero is working from 1603 second 47. Okay, so let's give 1 minute to Carlos, and then we will come back to the terminal to close the operation and to see how the system complete the transaction for the material. What will happen here is that the second item is this, the third item, sorry, the wire 15 green will be issued because it's related with the operation 20, and also because the setting I have for this database, then in the last operation the system will do a good receipt. Okay. Before I go to the terminal, let's go to 1 second to the configuration wizard. Okay, and have a look at some different settings we should take care. Okay, material entry and reservation. This is the one I want to show you right now. It's the way the system will do the good receipt of the item you are producing. When will happen? In last operation, or in first operation, or no automatically. This means the system will never do any good receipt. You need to do it manually. You need to go to the work order and to say, okay, I will do a good receipt for this operation, or backflushing that I will show you in another example. Okay, so then I have my setting is last operation. This means once I report the last operation, this is the last operation. I have only two. This is the second one. Then the system will do the good receipt. Take care about one specific setting in the operation. Clock mandatory. You are telling to the system that it is mandatory to report time in this operation, otherwise the system will not allow you to continue. But also, if it is the last operation, if you do not mark this field, the system will not do any good receipt. Okay, so take care about this, because sometimes if you are in a customer and you forgot to define this, then you will see why the system is not doing the good receipt if this is the last operation. Okay, so it's very simple. Take care about this clock mandatory field. Okay, so okay, Carlos Herrero, yeah, it happens 1 or 2 minutes. Let's go to the terminal again, and in this time then I will click in log off work order. Okay, I am the number 3 in this case. If I have a mouse, of course I can click here. Okay, but not everybody have a mouse in a terminal in the factory, so then you can shoot against the barcode. That is this one, is the same. Well, here is a small bug, because normally, of course, the time is automatically calculated. In this case, it's 0 minutes, but anyway, let's put, for example, 4 minutes, and the quantity is 5. Okay, I can report a different quantity, or I can also report scrap. This means I created 4 pieces are okay, but 1 was broken or something like that, and also then type some additional information here. Okay, so that's it. Let's click in complete it, and the system did the transaction. Let's have a look at our work order. Okay, if we see now the last operation is already completed with the 4 minutes reported and 5 pieces, and we have a new icon here, this one, that is the good receipt. Okay, if we do double click, then we will open the good receipt in business 1. My sub-assembly item is already on stock, and this is the information regarding the work order and so on, and then from here you can jump to the journal entry and so on. Also, this is a batch item. My sub-assembly is a batch item, but see that the system created automatically a batch. Okay, there are different possibilities to work with batches or serial numbers at the moment you create one work order, and at the moment you need to create the good receipt. And I created a basic algorithm with the year and just a counter. That is, the next one will be then 38, for example. Okay, if there is any quality control process related with this item, then also from here you are able to see all the quality control information. In this case, I will not take care about this. We will show about quality control in other session. Okay, because the last operation was completed, you see that the position is already completed. The system created all the different good issues, the receipt, and also at the end, because work in progress, the system reported the different in the WIPS account. Okay, if I change, you will see, if I change the screen, if I refresh the screen, the work order 87 will disappear. Why? Because it was completed. Okay, I already reported the last operation. Okay, so This is one approach. This is then to use the terminal. Other way is if you go to production, then in this place, then you can create directly a production time receipt. Then you need to select, okay, which work order, and these are the different work orders, who is, how many minutes, and so on. Okay, but always it's easy from the screen. If you are not using terminals, then with the right button over the operations, or here in production time administration, then of course you see all the different time receipts are already done in this database during these days. And then in this quick input information, this is some companies that still are not working with terminals, use this like an Excel. They create several lines, each line for one specific work order. For example, from this one, then you put some time here, for example, 5 times. A new line then means for James Bond, but in another one he included 6 minutes, and so on. So then you create one list of all the times received. Then you create in Enter, and the system will do in a massive way all the time received for all the items. Okay, so this is another possibility you currently have. Okay, now I will change something in my configuration, and then you will see how works the backflushing approach. Let me go to Configuration Wizard. I showed you before that my setting was related with the last operation. This is material entry and reservation. And then I will change to backflushing. Okay, update. And backflushing means at the end, this is for a company who is not controlling the specific time for the specific operation for each worker and so on. What I want to say is I already completed the work order 86 for this item, and we produced 5. That's it. Then the system will do all the good issues in an automatic way and will report some standard times. Standard time based, of course, in the theoretical information for the item. Okay, so if we go now to stock management, wait a second. Yeah, this is where we put the backflushing in the new. Now we can put it, look it for here. No, we have no backflushing. Wait a second. Give me 1 second. Ingo. Hello, Ingo. Do you know where is the backflushing menu in the new menu? Yeah, this is also a mixture between Spanish. Okay, let me do something. I will change my menu. You see I'm working always with the fully integrated menu, but of course this is sometimes for the people who was always working with the previous versions, sometimes we do not find a menu, then I will change it. And we will see how then the backflushing is working. Okay, then if we go to, oops, give me just 1 second, I will restart this one because it's taking my Windows setting for the language. Then some configurations are in Spanish, sorry for that. Okay, so let's go here to material management, and then we have the backflashing functionality, okay? And have a look that here the system, what is just asking me is what is the routing card, what is the specific position from the work orders you already have opened it, you would like to report, okay? We were talking about the work order, for example, 86, okay? If I open the work order again, if I go to production and I open it, then is this the item, okay? Then you will see how the system will work. From here, I will tell to the system, what I will do is just to, I completed 2 units, okay? Or let's complete the 5 unit, for example, okay? And then it is completed. This one of the items are in the list is the gas subassembly item, and this is a batch item. We already produced it in the previous work order, and the system is telling me which one are you going to use. One, and then, for example, this one we already created now. And in the case of this item, I set up that I would like to input the times. I would like to input the batch number in a manual way. Okay, so then this is my batch 2011 072201, something like that. Okay, then the transaction we will see that is already will be already completed. Okay, if we close this screen and we refresh the work order, then we will see that the system included the time for, in this case, for didn't include any time for the operation. This should not be what happens. Normally, it input the times for one specific work order. We define a worker. We define as a default one for backflushing. Maybe it's not defined in this database, but then you see that all the different materials are already issued. We didn't do any good issue and any time received, and the system already created also the good receipt for our item with my batch 001. Okay, so then this is another approach to work. If you have a customer that is not worried or currently is not important to control the specific times of the different operations, for considering the times from the workers, then backflashing is a very easy way to work. Okay, so okay, that's it regarding the different possibilities to create to manage the work orders. Okay, I wanted to show you some additional settings are of course important regarding the production part. One is, of course, if you go to master data, for example, in routing, in production in master data, then you can create your own production types. This is the different types of work orders you would like to create. Okay, I already mentioned it before. Then, of course, in all this production part in the configuration wizard, then you will see that what are the related values will affect the performance of the system. For example, FDC means factory data capture. What is the performance should be considered, or what are the different variables should be considered at the moment you input the different times and so on. For example, login rules. If the work orders must be set as planned before, of if you would like to consider a material inventory test at the moment the workers are going to start the operation, what this means. If there is not a stock, the worker is not able to start the operation, okay? Or you can say, no, forget it, if I have no any material but the worker wants to start, then he can do it. Or just to send an information, hey, take care, there is no enough material of this one, okay, but you can continue. Also, if you should take care about the previous quantity is reported, for example, in the first operation, you created 5 items from a work order of 20 items. Are you going to allow to produce only 5 items in the second operation? Yes or not, okay? So many different parameters are, of course, defined here, and you should take care about it. And then if you can do a manual input, or if time entry is mandatory or not. This means you do not allow to input time or create a time receipt for 0 minutes, for example. Quantity is mandatory, yes or not. Suggest a residue. If you created a work order for 20 and you already reported 5 items, then the next time you try to create a time receipt, the system will tell you, okay, the quantity is more or less where it's 15, okay, it's the quantity you need to report. And also, well, other possibilities, you can also allow a couple of user-defined fields in to report the field in the time received screen. Or here in the material entry and reservation, of course, it is very important for production, because here you define what is the approach to complete the work order. If are you going to use back flushing, or if are you going to use the last operation, okay? At the moment you do the back flushing, then, for example, if you want to here to select automatically a batch, or if you want to consider the quantity of the materials you are going to issue in an automatic way. If you would like to report or to create a good receipt for this specific item you are producing in a one specific warehouse, then you can define it here, okay? Then you need, of course, to set up the warehouse, but you can doing from here. Enter times automatically. I didn't have it marked. This is the reason I didn't get any feedback for the times, okay? Then now I say, okay, in all the times when I do back flushing, put it to Carlos Herrero, for example, okay? More things is, if we go to the valuation and booking of assembly, there you can define what is the price I would like to consider for the good receipt. Is a theoretical price, or is based on a price list we have in business one, is based on the last purchase price, or is based on for example, calculation price. That is the price remember in the last session for calculation we described the process for the batch calculation process. In this process, then we fill the calculation price in the item master data of the production items. Then with this setting, this is the price the system is considering. If we go to one specific item, for example, from this one we already created, if we go to calculation, then we see this price here. This is the price I'm telling to the system. When I select calculation price, the system will take care for the good receipt at the moment the work order is completed, okay? But of course you can play with the different valuations. You can select a specific price list, or say to the system, I don't want to use a manual transfer, I want to use actual calculation for the materials, for example, or other different possibilities we have here. Of course, the best way to really understand there is enough information in the help file regarding the different approach to evaluate the items you produce, and the best way is to change these settings for learning, and then to see what is the result and how the system is doing the different valuations and so on, okay? Also, if you, of course, are considering WIP accounts, then you tell to the system, yes, I would like to consider the WIP accounts. When are going to put the cost at the moment you close the work order positions, or when are you going to balance the WIP accounts, then when it's closing, and so on. In this part of booking, then you also say to the system, yes, I will book the finished items when last operation, or non-automatically, or only with back flushing. This is related with the first field we saw before. What happens if I have no price? Am I going to allow booking without prices? Yes or not? What happens if I have no price? Then info and price and book with 0, or open a screen to force the enterprise and so on. Okay. You also should take care about the materials at the moment you create First, and before jump to material management, you see here in serial number and batch management, how is the algorithm you define for create automatically the batch number, and which is the counter are you going to use, and so on. Okay, this means 2011 XXX will be modified by the counter. Okay, and if we go to material management, then in manual entries, for example, then you will tell to the system how to calculate the cost of the good issues. Okay, then item valuation method means at the end what is the item valuation method defined in business one, if this is FIFO, if this is last purchase price, or if this is standard or standard price, or if this is an average price. Okay, we will take care about the setting in business one. In any case, always the journal entries will be based on the business one rules and the business one values or definitions, and this is exactly as in the top. What are you going to use for in-house production items, for those items you produce? Yeah, calculation price is what we define it. For example, this is important then, okay, because depending on the values regarding the material management and the production, then you will consider some values for the different transactions are related with the production part. Okay, so okay, and basically then we saw different important fields, okay, or in the configuration are you should take care at the moment you need to produce or to create and manage the different work orders. Okay, and that's it. This is what are we going to explain today. Now I will open for some questions.